Okay, this is the lesson 2 of the word problems, and these involve more complex word problems, and it usually takes like a chart of some kind to set them up, or at least that's what I feel the students get the most benefit from. And of course, first you read through the problem, see what it's about, and then you start to fill in these 3 slots and these 3 at the top to sort of start the organization of this. So we use, like mentioned in the overview, the ham, which is what you have, what you're going to add, or what you also have, and what you're going to make or mix or obtain. So in this example here, we've got $26 for adults, and so that's what you have, and you're going to add, or you also have students, which are $18, and the mix is going to be the passengers. And then you need to find out the top part, these 3, this last one's always the product of these first 2. But in order to get the labels on here, students have a hard time getting those until they look for just the numbers, the digits in this word problem. So the first digits I see are 26, and the label would be $sign. So that's what goes in one of them. And then keep looking for another number. We already have dollars. We already have dollars. And here's another number, 70 passengers. So that's like how many passengers. So that would go here, or just how many. So then we go ahead and we try and fill out the rest of it here. And we start to go over. You could just put this information in here. The adults cost $26. How many, we don't know. The students cost $18. We don't know how many passengers. You don't get, it doesn't say anything about how much a adult student would be, so you cross that off. And then we go to how many. We don't know adults or students, but we do know there's 70 passengers altogether. So if we were able to fill in these, we could just say, oh, this is how many adults there are. So we use a variable for what we don't know, and then the students would be the remainder of those. So 70, take away A. And they could do it either way. You could have put an S here for students, and this would be 70 minus S. It doesn't matter. I just go down the column. Okay, the next part then is to figure out the product. So you just put the 2 factors together here, like 26 times A, and I actually leave it like a factor at first, and then this would be 18 times 70 minus A. And this one, there's nothing to times this one by, so there must be a total amount up here in the answer, in the question. So there's a 1668. So that's the setup, and that's all I expect them to do on the first day of this lesson, or any lesson with word problems. Okay, I'm going to give you the second number one that we have here. And this is about Javier having some quarters and dimes. So again, you read through it, and then you look for the HAM. And what does he have? He has quarters, and so he's got quarters, and he has going to also have dimes, and that's going to make like a mix on this one. Okay, what kind of labels do we have at the top here? So we go back up and we look for, here's a value, or how much these cost. And then we need another one, and it's how many. I guess the only other number here is twice as many, so that tells you how many. And then again, this is the product. So we go back through there, and we start to fill in the rest of the grid. So quarters, let's see if we can get what's the value of a quarter. Dimes. And the mix, again, you can't mix a dime and a quarter to get in-between figure. Okay, how many? says he has twice as many quarters. So next to quarters, you put twice as many quarters as dimes. So I'm going to use a D for dimes. So he's twice the number of dimes. So dimes must be D. And so how much does he have altogether? In the mix, he'd have 2D plus D, which we really don't need. And then for the last, the product, we put the factors of those together. So it's like 25 cents times 2D, 10 cents times D. And then this one has nothing to multiply with, so we must have to find it up here, and there it is. The $9 is the product of all of this. Okay, and then tomorrow, or the lesson 3, we actually do the equation. Okay, here's the next one. This one's a real mixture one with solutions and percents. So again, we read the problem. We look for what do we have, what are we going to add, and what are we going to make or produce. And let's see, it says a 400 gram solution is 25% sugar, so that's what we have. So you just make all those notes. 400 gram solution is 25% sugar. What are we going to add? Let's see, how much sugar must be added? So we're going to add sugar. And we're going to produce a solution in the mix. It's going to be a solution that has 40% sugar. Okay, up at the top, of course, this one's always product. And let's look for numbers up here in the original. Here's a number, 400 grams. So we'll use the grams, or the number of grams. And another number we have here has a percent. And when they do percent problems, it's important to put percent of what? So I'll put percent of sugar, just to help clarify some things. Okay, so now we're ready to fill in the rest of it. So looking at what you have, can you fill in anything here? So yeah, we know how many grams. It's 400. The percent of sugar is 0.25. We'll use a decimal equivalent here. And then let's see, what about adding? How many grams of sugar? Well, that's the question. So let's just put a S for sugar. And what percent of sugar is sugar? It's 100%, or 1.00. So it's important to have that with the percent sign. Okay, and then the mix is going to be how many grams will be in the mix. Well, we had 400, and we're going to add some sugar. And what percent is it? 0.40. And then we just put the factors over here, 0.25. It doesn't matter what order, of course. And we put 1 times S, or 1.00 if the students like it. And then this one is 40% times 400 plus S. Okay, that was number 3. And number 4 is similar to one of the other problems that we had on the simpler ones. Find the 2 greatest consecutive even numbers. So I have them write it out. Consecutive even integers would be n and n plus 2. And then we'll finish up the rest of that. It's number 5. And again, it's a mixture problem with percents to it. So we're going to follow our HAM. And first we're going to see what do we have here, and how many liters of water must be added to. So this is what we have. We have 80 liters of a 70% antifreeze solution. Okay, what are we going to add? How many liters of water must be added? So that's going to be the water. And then to obtain, that's where the O comes in, obtain a solution that is 50% antifreeze. Okay, the top numbers, again, we look for the numbers themselves. Here's an L for 80, so that's going to be number of liters. And then here's another number that's got a percent, and we need to put the percent of antifreeze. And this is a product. To fill in the inside, we'll just move our material over. We have a number of liters, it'd be 80. Percent of antifreeze, this is 0.7. Water, how much water? Well, we don't know how many liters. And what percent of water is antifreeze? Well, none, of course. Students have a hard time remembering that, so that's why the description by the percent helps. And then the solution, how many liters? We have 80 is what we have, and we're going to add some water, and the solution will be 50. And then you just multiply them, each one. That'll be W times 0 and 50 times 80 plus W. Okay, number 6 is a rate times time equals distance. And this one's, I already filled it in for you. Here's the rate times time is distance, again the product. And it talks about one plane and then another plane. So those are our descriptions. And then to fill in the rates that it gives you, it doesn't give you the rate for the other planes, so we write a P. The time they're to meet in 3 hours, so each of them will be flying for 3 hours. And the distance is the product of those. This one has no mix to it, but it will give us, this 1950 was never used, so we need to put that down here in the product total down there. Okay, and then the last one is another short word problem. Number 7, finding the measure of an angle using supplement and complement. So I have the students just write down or define their variable for the supplement and the complement, and then angle A is that. So if you go to lesson 3, we will make equations out of all these problems and show how to solve them.